All right. Well, hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of Intentional Living with Emla podcast. And today I am super, super excited because I have with me the amazing Dr. Asim Roy. Thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a
This
pleasure.
is going to be amazing. This is going to be amazing. So I have been excited about this episode because if you've been around me for any length of time, you know that sleep is not optional when it comes to the pillars of intentional living. Sleep is foundational. So it's not a question. This is by force or by love. We need it, right?
100%. I can't agree with you more.
So today, Dr. Roy is a board-certified sleep physician whose work sits at the powerful intersection of clinical excellence, research, and innovation. So he's not just a doctor, he's an entrepreneur, and he's all around, he's all the things. So he specializes in diagnosis and treatment of sleep disorders. You know, you could think of insomnia, sleep apnea, all the things, and circadian rhythm disorders. So all these conditions quietly affect our cardiometabolic health silently, and our cognitive clarity, mental health, hormonal balance, and longevity. In other words, everything.
To sum it up, yes.
To sum it up, everything, right? I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us here today. And you just don't treat sleep. You reimagine how we deliver care. In addition to your clinical practice, you're an entrepreneur who is innovative in healthcare, and you're doing solutions to design and improve access and outcomes in the patient experience. So you also do clinical trials, all that research.
Yeah. So we do a lot of pharmaceutical trials, device, new technologies, validation. Yeah, we've been doing it for about 20 years now. So
20 years.
yeah.
All right. So if you are someone who wakes up tired, struggles to wind down, or has just difficulty, falling asleep or staying asleep, and you think it's just part of life, this episode is for you. I bet you want to stay on and listen to all the things that Dr. Roy has to tell us today. So I am just going to take one step back and just ask, when I talk about intentional living, what does intentional living mean to you, Dr. Roy?
To me, it means being thoughtful and design your life around things that are important, not to you necessarily only, but to the people around you, to the values you believe in, and make decisions around that. It's challenging to live that way in every aspect because, your views, your values may not align with everyone around you, but and so certain things may not align necessarily, but they're a necessity. So it's challenging, and especially today with social media and how the world is evolving, I think, in technology, it gets trickier.
So you heard Dr. Roy, he said, aligning your views with your lifestyle and the people around you. And he said it's challenging. So we have to make a deliberate effort to be able to live intentionally. And as we make decisions, some decisions we make them and then we are excited about that decision. Another one we make them and we regret. When you were in medical school, what prompted you to decide that I'm going to be a sleep doctor? I was talking with Sarah Tandon, just before coming here, and I said, she said, who's the guest on today's podcast? And I said, Dr. Roy. And she goes, oh my gosh, that's going to be an amazing one. He is the sleep doctor. What made you decide to be the sleep doctor?
Yeah, no, great question. It was probably my destiny. If I go way back to high school or actually college, I started DJing on the side.
Ooh!
It was a lot of fun. I had a great time, and my DJ name at that time was DJ Dream. Now, I don't know how I got that name, but yes.
All right, guys, I'm just going to rephrase the introduction that I gave for Dr. Roy. I just forgot that I had to put the DJ in there. So DJ Dream.
This is well before medical school and what career path I was choosing. So I guess it was always there. So I decided to do neurology out of medical school. Actually, not sleep. My focus initially was on stroke care.
Yes.
I had a mentor in medical school, a stroke neurologist, wonderful, Dr. Lada, really changed the way I decided to go into the field of neurology. But as I was going to neurology in my intern year, one of the things you know in neurology is you diagnose, but it's hard to change the disease.
Yeah.
So
For the
it's
nurse, yeah.
relatively depressing, and not, you know, you can't really alter a path for some of these patients yet, and it's getting better, but it's still not quite where it needs to be. My first rotation out of medical school in my intern year, I had an elective, which is unheard of. Normally, you go into the ICU or you're on the hospital floors.
The major things, yeah.
Yeah, I got an elective, and I was like, "What do I do?"
Okay.
And my program director, which is Dr. Bose at Riverside Hospital, he's still there today. He was like, "Hey, you're going to neurology. There's this clinic down the road here that does sleep." And I was like, "What is sleep medicine?" Like, I had no idea. We get one lecture in 4 years of medical school on sleep. One 1-hour lecture. So I didn't even know there was a field or career in this space. And I spent a month there, and it changed my life. It opened my eyes up. People were walking out of that clinic smiling, telling Dr. Schmidt, Helmut Schmidt, who was my mentor at the time there, like, this changed my life. You gave my life back to me. And you don't see that in many fields of medicine.
No.
And after that month, I was like, this is what I want to do. So.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So if I'm hoping that Dr. Ladder and Dr. Helman Schmidt are listening to this podcast, because the things that you do on a daily basis, those people went to work and they were just mentors. They were just being themselves, doing their normal work, but you are able to change the trajectory of somebody's life. And because of that one trajectory that you change, you are helping thousands of us, patients out here who have benefited from your practice, who are out here taking care, just listening to all the advice that you give, and you're changing our lives. Yeah. So it trickles down. To me, this is intentional living. Like, you do it without knowing that you're doing it.
Yeah, no, and I try to pay it back. We have medical students, residents that rotate. And there are many that have now gone into sleep medicine because of their time spent with us. So
I love it.
It's a kind of a pay it forward model. So
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm glad. So now we have our sleep doctor here, DJ Dream. Excuse me.
I'm not going to live that down.
Right.
I wish I should have never told you that.
I'm sorry. I'm going to call you like that going forward. It's not going to get out. But here, let's talk about sleep for a moment. What in all the the disease states that surround sleep? Let's talk about sleep apnea, insomnia. What do you think is the most misdiagnosed of all of them?
Of all our sleep disorders, the one that's probably misdiagnosed the most is actually narcolepsy.
Really?
Yeah. It's always thought to be very rare, and so most clinicians don't even think about it.
Okay.
The average time to diagnosis is 15 years.
Oh, hold on. First of all, Dr. Roy, what is narcolepsy?
Yeah, sorry, I should have stepped back.
Yes, no, what is narcolepsy?
Narcolepsy has been portrayed in Hollywood or movies in a very extreme fashion. So most people, when they come to me and they say, and I tell them, I think you might have this, they're like, I'm not falling asleep in my food or while I'm talking to someone. I don't do any of that. That's not possible. But many people live with fatigue, tiredness, sleepiness, and blame it on everything in their lives, right? Like they're working or their school or their kids or, just everything. In life, you only get a few hours of sleep, and that's why I'm so sleepy or why I'm so tired. But narcolepsy starts in high school or college. Late teens is usually when it hits. It's an autoimmune condition.
Really?
Yeah, which is relatively recently discovered, where we identify the actual neuropeptide that is deficient or missing in one type of narcolepsy. So these are individuals that can live their lives, we have physicians, lawyers, engineers, any career path, and they can go on for years just blaming things on everything going on in their lives. And you can function. I mean, you can get by, but you're exhausted. You don't have the energy to get through the evening because you've taken the whole day and really spent all your energy. So it's a disruption of the sleep-wake system by a parent neuropeptide called orexin. And orexin is kind of the parent to all the hormones that help you stay awake.
Oh, so that makes sense now.
So it is the backbone of our brain sleep-wake system. So dopamine, serotonin, acetylcholine, histamine, norepinephrine, you name all the neurotransmitters in the brain that help the brain function in mood, sleep, energy, metabolism, diet, all that stuff. Orexin's kind of the backbone. And it is gone in narcolepsy, specifically type 1 narcolepsy.
Wow. This is just mind-blowing because we're out here focusing on all the other neurotransmitters that are downstream and nobody's looking back up.
Yeah. So it is an exciting time in this field because orexin, there's been a few medicines developed in the last 15 years that block orexin. So it almost kind of is like trying to induce narcolepsy, and it's used for insomnia.
Yes.
And it works, but it's the opposite of what we need for narcolepsy. And now there are 3 to 4 pharmaceutical companies that are now in their last phase, one of them submitting everything to the FDA as we speak, for an orexin agonist, the first orexin agonist that can actually kind of mimic what you're no longer making. It's not quite like insulin for type 1 diabetes, but almost on par with that.
This podcast is sponsored by Journeys, your path to intentional wellness. Most health problems don't start overnight, and neither does wellness. With Journeys, you can take charge of your health before you have to. Every cell in your body is speaking to you. But when we ignore preventive medicine, we wait until those cells are screaming. Journeys helps you listen to the whispers. There are 3 different journeys to choose from, each designed to meet you where you are in your wellness path. The Core Wellness Journey for $199 offers a foundational look at your overall health, perfect for getting started and measuring 66 biomarkers. The Advanced Heart and Metabolic Health Journey for $339 measures 111 biomarkers and goes deeper into cardiovascular, metabolic, and thyroid health for a more detailed picture. The Comprehensive Longevity and Hormone Journey costs $469 and is the most complete view, including hormone, nutrient markers that support energy, balance, and healthy aging. This measures 120 biomarkers. Each journey includes a personalized recommendation, one-on-one care from your pharmacist, and follow-up support to help you turn results into lasting intentional change. You just won't get data. You'll get guidance, accountability, and a partner in your wellness journey. Intentional living means paying attention, staying curious, and taking steps towards the health you deserve. Start your journeys today. Click the link in the show notes. Okay, and you should just see me now. My mouth has been like open the whole time he's talking, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, as a pharmacist, this is like new information to me. Like, I'm just sitting here, like, how many people do I know that should get checked to see if they have narcolepsy?
Yeah.
Because they're probably diagnosed as everything else. We're like, oh my gosh, let's check your ferritin, let's check your B12, let's
Correct.
figure out what is going on, brain fog, fatigue, tiredness during the day.
100%, yeah.
And you said it starts in late teens.
Yeah, so normally these kids, if it hits, it's usually around puberty, around that time when kids are tired, they sleep in, they become night owls often.
Yes.
They're blamed that they're staying up too late and
Yes.
need to wake up later. But they have trouble staying awake or fully being present or alert during the day. So they can get misdiagnosed with depression. They can get misdiagnosed with ADD or ADHD. Those are probably the 2 most common diagnoses that are labeled with these individuals for years. And it doesn't mean they don't coexist, but those medicines can be a Band-Aid for narcolepsy, but they're not going to solve the problem.
I have a question for you, Dr. Roy. Like, I have a lot of questions for you. But my first question is, can patients see you without a referral?
Yes.
Okay. So this is because I have a lot of people that need to see you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just so you can assess and figure out, we will have the website to Dr. Roy's practice in the show notes. So you can check for yourself or somebody that you know. Somebody that you know has these symptoms that he's talking about. So it is just I can't even explain this. Like I thought I was going to ask this question and then just go to other things because I already had a question in my mind and you've just blown my mind away and I'm just sitting here. I can't stop thinking about narcolepsy.
Yeah. And, just to put it in numbers, it's about 1 in 2,000 individuals, which is similar to multiple sclerosis and a few
Yes.
other diseases out there that are more
Yes,
recognized.
more recognized, and nobody thinks about narcolepsy when we think about young adults. We're
Correct.
thinking about like maybe working adults, people, out of school, starting their jobs and everything like that.
And
Okay.
yeah, so in high school, college years, it often gets it's usually when the symptoms begin, but then again,
Nobody's thinking about that at that time.
Correct.
Yeah. So, but let's take a step back.
Yeah.
And my question to him was about narcolepsy, about what is the most common sleep disorder that he thinks is misdiagnosed. But now let's go back to the most common sleep disorder.
So insomnia
I knew he
technically
was gonna
is the
say
most
that.
common sleep disorder.
Yes.
The one that we see in our clinic, though, and sleep centers around the country tend to see more, though, is sleep apnea.
Sleep apnea.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a moment and explain what insomnia is. So,
Yeah.
what is really insomnia, Dr. Roy?
Yeah, so this definition has changed multiple times over the years. Many people blame it as a symptom of other problems. So if you're severely depressed or have severe anxiety, you may cause insomnia. But insomnia to us is an actual independent disorder. And there are people that are genetically predisposed to having insomnia. Many times you'll hear individuals say, as a baby, my parents would say, I never slept or I never napped.
I know some of those babies.
Yes. I've always been a 5-hour sleeper. I just can't sleep more. And so they've struggled with this since childhood.
Yeah.
And then the more common type, though, develops later. And
Yes.
typically, many times, it's a trigger. And we call this psychophysiologic insomnia, where either a death in the family or a divorce or a major kind of life-altering event. And sometimes it can be very subtle or multiple subtle events
it's
and
just stuck
eventually
on.
accumulates. Yeah. And now your brain no longer has either the ability to get to sleep, which is initiation, the
Yes.
trouble falling asleep, or it struggles to stay
Stay
asleep.
asleep.
And then the other is unrefreshed by sleep. So the idea is you may have slept 6,
Yeah.
7, 8 hours, but you wake up and you're still tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, if I were to get $1 for every time somebody came to the pharmacy and said, I have trouble falling asleep, or I have trouble staying asleep when I fall, or I slept and I still feel like crap when I wake up. Like
Yeah.
you just have people feeling that way, and it's just insomnia is one of the things that, and I believe that if we fix insomnia, a lot of the other things get fixed downstream.
Quite a bit. I mean, there's enough data now showing that poor sleep, like with insomnia, leads to many disorders, cardiovascular issues, dementia, metabolic profile changes. So, insomnia, again, can be due to many different things. So you want to layer it out and try to figure out what's the underlying cause, because many people then rely on an over-the-counter.
Yes.
And that's kind of that Band-Aid approach, right? We're just trying to put a Band-Aid on this problem. When if you can get to
No,
the
we don't.
core issue, there's many ways to treat this without a pharmaceutical
Yes.
approach. Sometimes it is sleep apnea causing you to wake up more. So we should treat that, and now you can stay asleep better. So figuring that out is just taking a good detailed history. We usually, by the end of the first visit, can pretty much identify what's probably causing this.
So this is the thing, because a lot of people just say and they think that, this is what my life is. I'm tired in the morning. I need a coffee. I cannot operate without 4 cups of coffee or 2 cups of coffee. I need my coffee to start my day. Without coffee, don't talk to me,
Yeah.
And then by midday, oh my goodness, I need an energy drink, and, the fatigue, the brain fog. And if you are one of those people who are listening to this podcast right now and you feel that way, do yourself a favor. Get an assessment. You don't need a physician referral to see Dr. Roy. You can head straight onto his website, which is going to be listed on this talk and this show notes, and make an appointment and see him, and he will do an intake, subjective data, and talk to you and figure out what's going on. Because, you heard him talk about the downstream effects of poor sleep, any one of which is bad by itself, but a combination of all of them, I don't want that.
Correct.
The cardiometabolic downside, just a cognitive decline, those those neurodegenerative diseases. We don't want that.
No.
So if it's something that we can fix, I keep going back. I keep going back to your personal switch from neurology to sleep medicine.
Yeah.
You want something that you can actually make changes.
Yeah.
Pharmaceutical or non-pharmaceutical, and help us.
Yeah. And to me, that was the most valuable reason I went into the field, because it has such a huge impact.
Yes.
And relatively immediate, which that kind of affirmation is hard to, as a clinician and helping people. I can.
He did this for selfish reasons.
Yes, I did. I did, actually.
He did this for selfish reasons. He could feel good about himself. That, oh my gosh, I really helped this person, and they're feeling better. Oh, he can feel better now.
Well, and you could say we were the early people in the longevity space. So,
Yes,
that's a
is.
buzzword right now. But honestly, the foundation of longevity is nutrition, exercise, and sleep.
That's it.
Keep it
That's
simple.
it.
And for me, sleep is, there's so many tools that we have that are so powerful and make a huge impact. But again, like you said earlier, people blame it on and say, well, this is just the way life is, and accept the way they live.
No.
And to me, that's not intentional living, right?
We're not in that's not intentional. We cannot accept it when we have all the tools. We have people who are properly trained. I was not in medical school with you when you were learning all these things. I was not in residency with you when you learned all your specialty things about sleep. But I am here. I am part of your community, and my goal is to get what I can get from you to be able to make my life better, so I can sleep better, and then the rest of my days are better. I can take care of myself and the people around me. So, but if you say somebody that has, general insomnia, I know this is going to be really hard because you personalize everything. You sit down with a patient. But for people that have insomnia or have been diagnosed with insomnia, what maybe top 2 things that they can change, in addition to pharmaceuticals or without pharmaceuticals, that they can change in their daily lifestyle to improve?
We throw out a word quite frequently, which is, you can look this up. It's very straightforward. It's just good sleep hygiene. Yeah. But that doesn't work for a lot of people. So then they hear the sleep hygiene, they try to implement those things, and they're like, this isn't helping. And so it gets frustrating because they're like, people tell me to do sleep hygiene. I go to bed at the same time. I wake up at the same time. I try to follow all these policy rules, like I don't drink caffeine after X. They follow these guidelines, and it's not improving. One of the core fundamental therapies out there that is not a drug, not a pharmacologic approach, is something called cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia.
Okay, hold on.
Yes.
Cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia.
Yeah.
So CBT for insomnia. Cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia. What is that?
Yes. So CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy, is a subset or a philosophy approach in psychology to help change behavior, help change thoughts, ideas around anxiety, depression, different approaches within the psychological space. Within that space, there's a subset of specialists that are focused on insomnia specifically. And why that's important, because CBT as a broad category doesn't address insomnia specifically. It can address anxiety very well. It can address depression very well, but it's not really geared towards insomnia. And the reason behind that is it's taking the CBTI approach is to take fundamental knowledge of how our brains work in sleep. And there's 2 processes. And these are just basic processes that every human, every mammal actually goes through. One is the circadian rhythm, our natural 24-hour clock. So everyone has genes that control this.
Yes.
Some people are termed night owls, and others are morning larks, right? And some people fall in between. So figuring out who you are naturally, not what work forces you to do, not what school forces you to do. And that's the problem with society right now. We force people into a certain window of time when their body's not aligned with that. And that misalignment is detrimental to health. And so if you know your body well enough, which usually the question we ask most people is, if you're on vacation and you have nothing to do, what would be your natural bedtime? What would be the natural time? And most people are night owls. They shift a little bit beyond the 24-hour clock. And so if you can figure that out, that helps identify your circadian rhythm a little bit. It's not precise, but it gives
Yes.
us a ballpark idea.
Yes.
And the second theory or idea is something called sleep homeostasis. And what
that?
sleep
Yeah.
homeostasis means, imagine you've been up for 24 hours.
No, I don't want to imagine that.
Correct. No one wants to go through
yes.
that. But
So,
what happens is the longer you're awake, there's chemicals that build up in the brain because you're using energy when you're awake that eventually accumulates so much that the brain says you have to go to sleep.
Okay.
And it can overcome the circadian rhythm. So if your body says wake up at 8 a.m. and start your day, but you've been up all night,
Yes.
you could go to bed at 8 a.m. then, and that can kind of overcome the circadian rhythm. But if you understand these two processes, the body rhythm, the night owl, morning
Yes.
person, and the homeostatic drive, the sleep homeostasis, and you pull them together, that is CBTI in a simple fashion.
He said it was simple. So you're taking into consideration the circadian rhythm and this homeostasis and putting them together and figuring out my personal rhythms on both, and then using your medical knowledge to kind of help me adjust it.
Correct.
So that
We
I can sleep
basically-
better.
Yeah. So a simple approach is what happens with insomnia. It becomes counterintuitive to many people is to start going to bed earlier, to give more time in bed, to try to get as
Have
much
your
sleep
body
as.
adjust, yeah.
But they're actually awake most of that time, and that actually feeds the brain a negative feedback, saying, "I'm in bed awake. It's okay to stay awake in bed." Instead, the bed should be for sleep and sex for most people.
So I'm asking. So you mean that if I'm having difficulty falling asleep, I should not stay in bed for like those 5 hours?
No, it's better to go to bed later. Because the longer you're awake, the better your drive to fall asleep is. So it sounds counterintuitive. And people, when I tell them, hey, this is going to be your game plan for the
Yeah.
next 2 weeks, they're like,
They're
you're
like,
telling me to stay up till
"Doctor."
2 a.m.? That's so, I need more sleep. I'm like, you're only getting 4 hours right now.
Yes.
I'm making it the best 4 hours possible for
Yes.
you. And that's by delaying your bedtime and sticking to a strict wake up time.
Yes.
And that strict wake up time needs to be 7 days a week.
Oh, okay. Hold on. So you're saying I can't sleep in, or I can like stay up late on just like the weekends are the weekends. Okay, it's time to have fun. Are you saying that this, in order to get good sleep and work with this insomnia thing, I can't like change my sleep? Like it's a weekend, Dr. Roy. What are you talking about?
You are inducing what a term out there is called social jet lag. You're
Okay.
inducing jet lag on your body.
Tell me about it. So I have to do
let's say
the
you wake
same
up,
thing.
Yeah, so if you wake up at 7 a.m. during the week, but hey, on the weekends, I'm a night owl. I'd like to sleep in, go to bed later, and sleep till 10, let's say. That's a 3-hour difference. You just flew to California on your body.
I had never heard the word social jet lag
Yeah.
until I was talking with Dr. Roy. So do yourselves a favor and do not induce social jet lag. So that way you're doing the same sleep hygiene during the week
And on the weekends. Yeah.
weekends.
And we say about an hour is acceptable. I
Okay.
mean, we're not too strict on that.
Okay.
But when you wake up, you want bright light because
Yes.
the two most potent components of our body's circadian rhythm, our body's rhythm, natural rhythm, are that we can control is melatonin
Yes.
and light.
Yes.
So when light goes away, melatonin goes up.
Yes.
When light shows up, your body says, this is the start of my day. So unfortunately, in Columbus, Ohio, we don't always get much light at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. So some people suggest getting a light box. People call these seasonal affective disorder light boxes. They can help with, in the winter, gloomy, gray days, like to brighten the mood. But they're very effective for nailing in your circadian rhythm.
I was just about to ask that. I was just about to say, so one thing I could do is when I wake up in the morning, go to my light box.
Yeah.
Or if there is, even though in Ohio, sometimes
Yes.
we wake up on this. So when I wake up, I could just go to the window or go outside, stand outside, look outside for a little bit.
15, 20 minutes, and that
Okay.
will set your rhythm.
This is wonderful. So wake up in the morning, and this is why I love to have my tea behind the house. I just go out, open and have my tea in the morning, just looking out there, and awakens me. I
Yeah.
think of my day, and it helps me to be able to go to bed on the time, and
Correct.
tells my body, hey, it's time to wake up.
Correct. And
Light and melatonin.
And the time you wake up is what actually sets your tone for the rhythm versus your bedtime. So actually bedtime is less important, which is why we can play around with the bedtime a little bit more, say go to bed later and try to shrink your time in bed. But the wake up time is what's more important.
Oh my gosh, I have so many questions for you. I was just about to ask you, like, what if I wake up and just like lay around in bed, like doing nothing, like chilling, like, how
So-
about that? Does that affect, because you're talking about the wake up time is really important for my circadian rhythm, and I really want to nail down my circadian rhythm.
Well, the second part of that is laying in bed or doing things awake in bed starts a psychological association, right? This happened a lot. This became a big issue during the pandemic because people were locked into their homes and they started working out of their homes. They started working in their beds.
Yes.
And now that became their office.
Yes.
And now the brain doesn't know what's separating these two environments. A lot of people with insomnia will tell us they go to many people say they go to a hotel or spending a night somewhere else. They don't sleep well that first night.
Yes.
But actually, some insomnia patients will tell us they actually sleep better that first night. And why that happens is they've tricked the brain into a new environment. And the old environment is always associates the poor sleep with it.
With those sleep habits, with
Yeah.
those poor sleep habits. That's really impressive. Before I ask you about another question, do you practice the cognitive behavioral therapy at your office?
We don't. And this is a big challenge in the field, is having access to these specialists, to these individuals. There's some digital health tools out there. One called Sleepio. There's a number of these out there that can provide it through a phone app, but it requires a prescription. And so we
Yes.
prescribe it, and then
Yes.
patients can walk through that app and do it themselves. It really requires some motivation by the individual.
yes.
And then there are CBTI specialists in our region in Columbus that we
Yes.
refer to, and then there's a national telehealth company
Okay.
called Dr. Lullaby that we work with closely.
What a name. I love it.
They're a spin out of University of Chicago, and they have, a number of specialists, and their access is significantly better. So for us, we kind of figure out how to get people the help they need, but there's not many people that focus in this space.
Oh, yeah. But we now know about it, and we know that those are tools, because I just want people to be aware of how many tools we have in our toolbox.
Correct.
There's lots of stuff. I'm going to ask you a funny question that I just thought about. What is the most interesting, weirdest, or funnest night routine you've ever heard one of your patients tell you?
Oh man. The night routine side is a little there are some quirky ones out there.
What is the funniest thing one of your patients ever told? Like, I want to know. I just thought about it. I was like, that'll be interesting to hear.
Well, one of our individuals, no names here,
yeah.
they do a dance routine
Before bed.
before bed. And it gets them into this zone that allows them to drift off to sleep faster.
Well, honestly, I can see that. I love dance, and dance is one of my biggest things. I believe in dance like so much. Like, so I can actually see that.
Again,
I can see that.
for us,
Yeah.
a lot of people are like, hey, don't watch TV before bed, or don't do these. There really isn't a don't out there.
Yes.
Obviously turning on bright lights and getting,
Yes.
but whatever helps you kind of distract your mind, get you relaxed, whatever
Yes.
feeds that is more important than
Yes.
the tool itself. So for each person, it's going to be different.
I know that's the beauty of personalization, and that's the
Yeah.
beauty of sitting with a doctor, figuring out, getting that data about your life, and so they can come up with a good treatment plan.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
I think the other challenge out there is people get into this mindset that they need 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours. And that's actually not true.
Yes.
Again, personalized medicine, everyone
Yes.
falls in. Majority, if you look at a bell curve
Yes.
of the population, where do most people fit is between a 7 and 9 hour window. And what has been shown is if you start creeping below the 7 hour, definitely below 6,
Yes.
is longevity and other things get impacted negatively. Same with too much sleep. So beyond 9 hours has shown some negative longevity, morbidity type concerns. And no one really understands why the long sleeper, I mean, there's some theories around it,
Yes.
but these are just population studies. So it's
Yes.
hard to like be very precise or causal with it.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, we tell most patients, as long as you're in that 7 to 9 hour window is our target. Now, there are people in that 6 to 7. That's very common with our society, with work, life,
And entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
And-
exactly. So
And some people that
yeah,
I know.
mean, I got to preach what I got to practice what I preach. So, but at the end of the day, we don't want to go way below. We don't want to go
Yes.
below 6. That's kind of our real cutoff.
Okay.
And there's very few people out there that are truly what are called short sleepers
Yes.
that actually can survive on 4 hours of sleep and
Yeah,
5.
we don't want that.
But this is a rare genetic form of what is a short sleeper gene, and it's a very minority pool of the population. So
Okay.
when most people come to us and say, "I don't think I can get more than 4 hours," I'm like,
No.
no, it's not good for your
No,
body.
yeah.
So 6 is kind of the minimum. 7 to 9 is kind of that sweet spot.
I love that. I love that. It's just, I have so many. We would have to have you back on because we have not touched sleep apnea.
No.
We have not touched the wearables,
Yeah.
all the Aura rings and all the whoops
Yeah.
and everything. We've not touched weighted blankets, the temperature, the right
Yeah,
room temperature,
yeah.
the lights. And we just have, can you just say yes to another episode down the line?
Yeah, it's so much fun already. So maybe I'll DJ one time.
Oh!
No, I'm just kidding.
Dang it. I'll hold you to your words.
No.
That's, yeah. The audience already heard that. So, Dr. Roy, Dr. DJ Dream. That
I'm
is
gonna
so
regret
fun.
that one.
No, don't regret it. I have it now. It's stored and it's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. We have all the audience. So I believe that I learned today a lot from Dr. Roy on the podcast. Share this episode with anybody that you know. All of us need sleep. The people in your life, sleep is the foundation. You heard the doctor say sleep is the foundation for the other things that go down, the cardiometabolic health, the cognitive health, all the other things that are downstream. And we focus on trying to fix these things downstream when we're not getting to the root cause.
Correct.
If you were to leave us with an intentional initiative, just, maybe 1 or 2 things that we can practice as a general population. I know you do very personalized stuff with one-on-one on your patients, but if you were to give the audience, a few nuggets and intentional initiatives on sleep today, what would that be?
One is don't accept your situation.
Ooh, I love that.
And number 2 is your brain does not go from 100 miles per hour to 0 quickly.
Really?
You need to slow down.
I love that. Don't accept your situation, and your brain doesn't go from 100 miles to 0 that easily. So you need to slow down, getting yourself ready for bed.
Yeah.
And also, I learned that the awakening time is more important for sleep routine than going to bed.
Correct.
Just so many things learning from you. This is why I love having smart friends, people. People look at me and they're like, "Oh, Emily, you're so smart." I'm like, "Listen, you should see my friends." Like, it's amazing. It's amazing. Thank you for coming on the
I
podcast. I know
appreciate
your
it.
time is limited and you have to go on and give a talk here now in 30 minutes, but I appreciate you. I promise that we will get you out of here
Yes,
on
you
time.
did. I was not sure.
But oh no, I keep my word,
Yeah.
and I will keep my word with my sleep as well.
Good.
Yes, I will wake up and I will do bright light in the morning,
Yeah.
making sure that light and that melatonin. Well, Dr. Roy, thank you so much. This has been a beautiful, beautiful episode. And please rate this episode, listen to Dr. Roy, share with your friends. And we have a link to set up an appointment with him if you feel like you or somebody in your life that you care about does need to see a sleep doctor. And my sleep doctor is Dr. Roy, and he is the one that I chose. And for myself and my community. But it is really important to share this podcast with people that we love. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And be kind to your body and continue to live with intention. Thank you, friends.